me just take you guys in. How beautiful. I'm honored. I'm so joyous. I'm so happy. So much joy. Unity of Grand Valley, you're doing it. You're doing it. I mean, I have been around so many Unity churches speaking, and I can feel the love, I can feel the willingness, I can feel the openness of just being and doing and trusting. So congrats to the board, congrats to every single one of you. And the music is amazing, the messages, hello! I can't get over it, you guys, just amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come here, was because I had gotten a beautiful letter from Susan. Is she here? I haven't seen her. She's maybe here in spirit. Susan, send you my love. She sent me a beautiful letter a couple years ago to Unity of Burbank, which I speak regularly. And she said beautiful things that you guys here at the congregation were watching certain videos of my talks that are on YouTube. And I was just so humbled and so honored and felt such joy when I received that letter. And I had the inspiration the year after when my assistant was working on booking me on speaking around the world. I said, you know, I remember this church, Unity of Grand Valley, and I got this wonderful letter from them, and I want to go there. It's time that they see me live in person. It's time they see me live. It's like when I was boxing announcing in the red corner, right? 100, right? It's like let's experience. There's something about being live. There's something about the connection, you know. And the internet is such a beautiful space because we get to have access to many things. But there's something to be said about a bunch of beautiful souls joining together to remember truth. There's just something about that that's so powerful. And I'm so excited about what we collectively have come together to join in this curriculum, in this moment, and all the good that's going to come from this meeting. And I can hardly wait to see what's going to come through, because I have no idea. I have no idea. That's why I usually take a pause before I speak, because I have no idea what's coming. And it's such a beautiful thing, because it's just a testimony of trust, of allowing Spirit to move through, of what's needed today to be expressed through me, so that we can all wake up collectively to the truth of love and happiness that we are. The time has come. The time has come. And before I get to that, I love to start with an affirmation. Unity's all about affirmations. Myrtle Fillmore healed herself through affirmations, affirmative prayer. So this is one of my favorite ones. So we'll say it all together. I am so amazing.
I am so amazing.
I can't take it.
I can't take
We're going to be laughing a lot today. We have enough suffering out there with this cuckoo world, right? It's here we're going to laugh. And maybe cry and heal, right? So it's funny, right, how we say, I'm so amazing, I can't take it, and we laugh, and it's so true. That statement is so true, and we laugh because we don't say it often enough. We don't claim that I am often enough. You know, I am so amazing, I can't take it. I am resilient. I am beautiful. I am love. I am trusting. And we don't say these things because we forget, and we believe in this world of the Course in Miracles calls duality, the separation, and we believe in those limiting thoughts. And what comes to mind is Charles Fillmore's, actually Unity's, but they created it, five basic principles. And number 3 is co-creating with God your thoughts. And with God, you create thoughts that are aligned to truth, aligned to love. And this month is all about, there's 12 powers at Unity, and this month is all about elimination, which means release. And going through life right now, I always bring my own personal life into my talks, into my experiences, because why not? You know, I always say authenticity is sexy, and yes, I'm going to call it how it is, right? So I've been going through some challenges right now, and it's very uncomfortable. I had a baby less than 2 years ago. I also got married. Technically a spiritual entrepreneur and living speaking worldwide, and there's a lot of supposedly challenges that come through that, and I'm learning how to balance it all. And I remember after having my son, 6 months after, I remember giving me the permission to be all over the place. I gave myself that permission. And I hope that you guys do too. Because sometimes we're going to go through stuff in life, and it's okay to be all over the place. And it's okay not to have it together and to be happy, right? And it's funny because I'm coming up here to speak about happiness. And if I could be really honest, my happiness is not at a 10 right now in my life. I'm working through some stuff. And Julianne and I were talking about that this morning. I'm just marinating with something, and it's super uncomfortable. But it's good stuff, but it's uncomfortable. And the recognition that everything's working for me, because I always say that in my talks, like everything's working for you, no matter what it is, it's hard to swallow that because it's hard and it feels super uncomfortable. So it's working for me? I don't know, right? This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good, right? It's very uncomfortable. So I wanna go to this whole subject of release, and I've recognized through my own release process that I can't release until I process. I can't eliminate until I feel, until I really feel and acknowledge and take responsibility for what I'm going through. I can't release it. So we can't go straight to the I want to release this, because there's a process, transmutation that has to occur. And that's the first step. The first step is that big willingness to want to look at your stuff, to take responsibility. The Course in Miracles teaches us all about not being a victim of the world that you see, and to take that responsibility. So if you're not taking that responsibility, you can't release it because you feel there's nothing wrong. The other person's wrong, right? So you can't release anything. So there must be that this first step that it's highly important. If you could just make a mental note of it in your head, of if you want to release and eliminate and let the new come in, that is your inheritance and is your truth, which is that happiness, is that there has to be a moment of really feeling, and I always say you got to feel it to heal it. You got to feel it to heal it. And I was telling Julianne this morning, I was like, oh, it sucks. And I won't say the other word, but it's just part of the process of healing. It's just very, very uncomfortable. But it's good, because we get to work through it and start to connect more to that Christ self that exists within us, which is that true self with a capital S. It's that part of Jesus that he was so good at exploring. He was so good at living. And he also had his triumphs and tribulations, as you know, through the history of the Bible, what we've read about his story. But he always was very good at connecting to that Christ self. And any time that I'm going through some struggle in my life, I see it like an opportunity to dive more into God, to dive more into that Christ part of me. Of otherwise, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So thank you. I welcome these challenges in such joy. In such joy. And I have two things to offer you and let you guys know, is like, this world is hard, and we are going to have problems and limitations and obstacles. But then there's this other part that we get to see it another way. You know, the Course in Miracles says a miracle is a change of perception from fear to love. So you have the opportunity to see it another way. And what my message is with Live Your Happy is to stop to let this veil of illusion of this world of problems, of what I call big deals, have such a grip on us, and be in the world and know that you're not of it. So it's like you're here and you're like, okay, this is interesting, but I know that this is not all there is, and I know that this projection that I'm experiencing right now is not my truth. It's not really who I am. And then that life starts to get very fun. So what I do is I start to enjoy more of my problems, if I can say that. It's like I actually get excited about them. It's like, oh, it's coming. The avalanche is coming. But you know what? I'm going to do the happy dance while it's happening as best as I can, because the Course in Miracles says happiness is your inheritance and happiness is your function. Again, all together, happiness is my inheritance and happiness is my function. Again, happiness is my inheritance, and happiness is my function. And this is the truth. When I first, my book came out, Live Your Happy, I had a lot of podcasts and news media interviewing me. One of the things they were asking me is, can you be happy 24/7, 7 days a week? Is that what your book is about? Because my book is all about the happiness that doesn't come from this world. It's a happiness that is inherent in you, and you're actually at peace and enjoy regardless of what's going on in form. That's where my book is taking you. It's an internal happy, right? So when I was asked this question, I was very surprised when I said, yeah. And I couldn't believe that came out of my mouth and how I was going to get out of that one, right? You can be happy 24/7, 7 days a week. Is that possible? And I just went, yeah. I was like, no, wait, I didn't mean that, right? But it was so honest, and what I realized after some introspection and some going within of where that answer was coming from was going back to the affirmation. Because if happiness is my inheritance and happiness is my function, and it's what I am and what is regardless of my circumstances. Right? So what happens is, just like love, just like peace, it never goes away unless you forget it. Right? So it's always there. So I like to use the metaphor of the umbrella. Right? So I have this happiness umbrella, and it's what's connected to my source. It's connected to that one mind of God. It's connected to that Christ self of where I always am, and I've never left my Father. And then sometimes I forget. So I just start hanging out somewhere else, not under the umbrella. I start hanging out under my cuckoo thoughts. Right? My cuckoo thoughts that, talk a lot of caca. And I'm sure you guys know what that is. So, there I am in this delusion. I like the way you laugh. In this delusion, I know you've probably never heard a reverend say caca before, but it's the first time for everything. The time has come. So you have like these beautiful, not non-beautiful, actually the beautiful ones are over there, but these non-beautiful thoughts of ego thoughts that are running the show in this space, and you've simply fallen asleep. We've simply forgotten who we are for a hot second. I like to say a hot second. Sometimes it feels like more than a second, but a hot second. Before we've forgotten who we are, but it doesn't mean we've left our source. And it doesn't mean that our happiness is gone, because our happiness is indwelling in us. It's our birthright. It's natural. It's actually very natural. So what happens is that we forget, and then what we do is that we come back. And we forget, and we come back. And doesn't that feel like life? Right? So you forget who you are, you believe in your problems, you believe in your big deals, you're totally transed out. Life totally, is caca, right? Sorry again. It's like you've lost your mind, but then you remember again, right? And what it takes to come back to source is willingness. Is the willingness to not be a victim of this, and to realize that what you're valuing and the thoughts that you're valuing at this moment are not thoughts that are co-created with God. They're thoughts that are separated from God. So what you need to do is start to begin to realize, wait a second, this doesn't feel good. You have every right to say stop it. You have every right to get off that unhappy train. You have every right to say stop it. This stops here. And that takes big willingness. The Course in Miracles says all you need is a little bit of willingness and miracles happen. Well, I changed it in my book and I said big willingness. Why? Because it seems like I need some big kahuna willingness, because this is just crazy, right? So I need that big willingness. And when we have that big willingness to say, hey, you know what? I'm choosing to be victim right now. It's that sense of responsibility of my perception, of my experience, of that, because I am the cause and the effect is out there, so I'm causing this in one way, my experience. Now, people get confused. They're like, well, did I cause this marriage to end? Did I cause this? Did I sabotage this? Well, I don't like to go there, because things are going to happen in our curriculum. But what the Course in Miracles is teaching us, and what Unity is teaching us also, is that we can have our experience. We can choose the experience. So the cause is here, the effect is here, but you can experience the effect in the way that you choose. So you can experience it through responsibility and being, hey, you know what? I'm not a victim of this. I'm responsible. And that's what's been really helping me right now in this space that I'm in right now of transition, of taking responsibility of whatever's happening in my life that's distressing me or it's not aligned to happiness, is in a way thoughts that I'm valuing. Because when I'm valuing thoughts with God, I'm happy. I'm doing the happy dance, right? But when I forget, what happens is that I'm in this space of duality. I'm in this space of separation. I'm not under the happy umbrella. So that's how we can be happy 24/7, 7 days a week, is the recognition that your happiness never goes away. Now, what's interesting here is that what I'm saying now is that why can't we have the opposite of what the world has taught us? So the world has taught us that suffering is normal, that it being hard is normal, that having health issues is normal, that, you could tell somebody, hey, can you be depressed for 7 days, 24 hours a day? People would say yes, right? That's normal. But if you say happiness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's not normal. So my message as a leader, my message as minister and a reverend and showing up for everybody is the time has come for opposite day. The time has come for the opposite of what we've learned, of what we've been taught, that we're limited, that we're lacking, that hard is normal when easy is normal. I've experienced so many miracles in my life of things that are just easy. I just went to a book tour, which Deb just mentioned, in Mexico. And it was an 11-day tour, and I did 6 events. And I went there, and I didn't know anybody. They planned this tour for me. I stayed in unknown houses. I didn't know who I was meeting and who I was staying with, and just trusted. And that was my calling. And it was easy. You would think such a trip would have some sort of, and it was simple. It was simple because of my decision for it to be simple. My decision to co-create my thoughts with God and say, God, I am so safe, I am so whole, who I'm meant to meet. It will be a divine experience. I remember the day before I left to Mexico, I was thinking, I really want to work out, and I would really love to, be in alignment to eating just because of my energy level on such a big tour. And who I was staying with, the beautiful lady I was staying with, Kati, comes to my door before the night ends, and she says, hey, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym. And guess what? I have a trainer. If you want, he can train you. I was like, yeah, let's do that. So it's so interesting how we set up our experiences. And I even called somebody into my life to take me to the gym and to give me a trainer. For 2 days I had a trainer, a personal trainer. 2 days I had a personal trainer. I was working out. I was in Mexico. Right? And it's just a symbol of that strength. When you go to the gym, it's a symbol of that strength of getting out of my own way. That's why the subtext of my book is get out of your own way to experience love within. We need to get out of our own way. So the first thing is you got to take that responsibility. So you got to take the responsibility for your thoughts. You got to take responsibility of the victimization you're having, and then you have to go ahead and go back. That starts to bring you back to the umbrella. But there's a journey. How many of you guys felt that? It's like you're hanging out there in misery for so long. You're like, when am I going to get back? And then you feel good one day. You're like, oh, finally. And then the next day you feel like it's like a roller coaster. But I feel that when you're living, you're happy, that starts to dissipate more. It's like there's more of an even keel of balance, of happiness, of joy, because you're connected more to your source, and that's up to you. I know now when I get sad or uncomfortable, I'm like, wow, I haven't experienced this in so long. It's because of the work that I've done. So it takes something. And what I say to you all is that the time has come to get to work. The time has come to get to work. That's why it's called Live Your Happy. It's living in responsibility. Living in, you're not a victim of the world that you see. It's living every day from the morning you wake up to at night is the consciousness of, am I choosing thoughts of love or fear? And knowing that you're the decision maker and deciding every single second, every single moment your experience. That's what living your happy is. It's not like, oh, I pretend to be happy, or I'm happy, or I'm joyous. No, I mean, it's fine, you can do that, but I'm talking about a whole nother deeper level here. Because spirituality is not brushing things under the rug and pretending to be happy. That's not the happiness I'm talking about. I'm talking about a genuine happiness that you experience when you are ready to. And it's a decision we must make every morning. And some days it's going to be awesome, and some days not so much. But it's okay. It's part of living in this world of duality. So the message here is to bring that living happiness into your experience, even if you don't want to. Even if you don't want to. The problem is that we want to change, and I've realized this, doing spiritual counseling and with myself, It's like we want to change, but not really. Right? You laugh, right? Because I want to change, but not really. Right? So it's like I want to experience love. I want to experience abundance. I want to have financial freedom. I want to live my purpose. I want to heal this addiction to cigarette, whatever it is, right? So you say you want it, but not really. And you have to get honest about that pause, that but. That's a sense of responsibility of there's something there that you are still making an exception. You're still making an excuse. What is that for you? Right? Mine right now is, my blind spot and but I don't want to heal is that I still want to be a victim. I still want to experience that something's being done to me. My husband. Right? That was funny. We got that on camera. Right? Two cameras, yes.
He's not here.
Exactly. He's not here. Yeah. So it's that I feel it's that blind spot for me. It's like that's my but. It's like, oh yeah, I want to experience happiness in my relationship. I want to experience love in my relationship. I don't want to feel my abandonment issues, that I've gone through that are coming up right now. No, I don't want to take responsibility right now. And that is my but. So I'm saying I want this, but I don't want to take responsibility. So what is that for you? What is that but for you in your life right now? Because I've recognized, even when people come to me for spiritual counseling and I say, this is what I'm offering you to do this week, it would be a meditation or it'd be some sort of healing structure for whatever you're going through. And when the person comes back the next day, the participant will say, or the next week, and I would ask them what they did, they'll be like, oh, I was too busy, or I didn't have the time, So it's like, and then I'm like, good luck with that. But it's part of that process. It's part of their process, and we all do it. There's some sort of unconscious barrier or resistance to change, and there is this comfortability with the victimization. Yeah, and I'm calling it out how it is because I've been feeling it, and it's just so beautiful to be able to stand here and be able to give this gift. I feel like I'm a little bit of an experiment, So it's like this gift that we've given to ourselves, but we have to recognize that it is a gift. It's like, okay, well, this is what it is. Like, this is my blind spot. There's still something I want to hang on to here. So what do? I allow myself to be. I gotta feel it to heal it, and I'm not ready, and it's okay. I still want to experience this victimization, but I gotta recognize that I don't want to get to work right now. But the truth is I do, I'm just saying that. But the truth is I really, really do. I woke up this morning very, very determined to do that with meditation, with yoga work. I went for a walk with Judy Ann. We had a good talk. It was like, no, I am willing to do this, and it'll come, and the lightness and the flower will bloom in time, is what it feels like. So we need to recognize that blind spot for us. What is that for you this morning? What is that but? It's like, I really want to be in a relationship, but I still want to feel worthy, or I really want to feel abundance or have abundance in my life, but I want to worry about money. See, there's no alignment there. There has to be, I am love, and I am love. I am abundance, and true abundance actually is recognizing that you are as God created you. So I am abundance, and I recognize that I am as God created me. And when you are as God created you, you know that you're not lacking in any way. And when you start to live in the world as if you have everything and you lack nothing. But it takes something. Do you think it's easy for me sometimes to step up and do workshops or to speak up here in public and not be happy at a 10? No, it's not. And I get tears just thinking about it. But at the same time, it's so beautiful that I can use this vessel as a tool to heal. And as a tool to let everyone and all our brothers and sisters know that there is another way. That there is another way. Is it fun sitting, sometimes with my husband and talking to him about my private thoughts or sharing from my heart and being vulnerable? No. Is it easy sometimes just stopping myself and tuning into Spirit and asking Spirit for guidance when I want to be on it, I don't want to get off it? No, but I do it anyways. So I invite you to see what that is for you, to see what that barrier is for you, and to do it anyways. Like Nike, right? It's like it's like just do it. Just remember, just do it. Just do it. And you do it with Spirit. We go back to the unity principle. Number 3, it's like you co-create with Spirit. You just do it with Spirit. You just do it with God. You just do it with Christ. And I have a chapter in my book that's called You Are Not Alone, and we're not. And it's funny because when we're in the thick of it, just like I have been, it's like I forget I have an inner companion. I have an inner guide that knows everything. I have a sponsor. I know. Yeah. I have a sponsor because I'm addicted. I'm addicted to my I'm addicted, right? So we're addicted to this limited thinking, and I need my sponsor. I need my sponsor. So I need to ask for help because I can't do it alone. And when I try to do it alone, I just spiral downward. So I ask for help consistently. Spirit, I give you over these thoughts. I give you over these limiting thoughts. I give you over this victimization thought. I give you over what I think I need. And you know what? I don't know anything. I give it to you. You judge this for me because I don't know anything. Listen, guys, when we're in our insanity, we really don't know anything. So I advise you not to even try to do anything. Right? Because you really don't know anything. You're so lost in it, and what's going to give you that, what's going to fill that is those limiting thoughts. What's going to fill that space is going to be those thoughts of hell, those hellish thoughts. So you need to know, okay, that space is being filled, and I don't know anything. Let me have Spirit judge this for me, fill this for me, right? Fill this bucket for me, because I don't know any better. So the first step is, and I'll wrap it up here, we have, I don't know how much time we have because I didn't ask you guys how long I had, but I have some. Okay, good. So you guys let me know when time's come. So the first step is to take that responsibility. So we're talking about how to be able to release, right? So we can't release until we take that responsibility. And then the second step is that you want, when you take that responsibility, you want to start to process these feelings. So I wanted to ask if any of you are going through a funky time right now. Are you guys going through a funky time right now? Who's going through a funky time? Higher your hand. Who's going through some funky? I love it. Yeah, just like you're not happy out of 10. You know, there's something going on. How many of you, had a funky time like 2 months ago? Yeah. All right. How many of you have had a funky time throughout this year? Like just some offness, you're not experiencing your 10, you're really believing your problems, you're really believing your big deals, and you're suffering a lot, right? Who has had like a weird funky time for like the past couple of years? Thank God I'm not alone. Right? So it's like, there's something to be said about putting your hand up and just saying it. Because the ego likes to have private moments. It doesn't like to be exposed, and it likes to pretend everything's fine, especially if we're spiritual. So we go to Unity, we're course students, and we're supposed to have it together, and we're doing our lessons, and we're doing kumbaya, ha ha ha, and everything is supposed to be fine. Everything is supposed to be fine and dandy, right? So, everything's fine, I'm fine, right? So what we need to do is start to be honest, about it, because spirituality, true spirituality is authenticity. Like I always say, and I said earlier, authenticity is sexy, JC, right? it's just, you're so authentic up there, it's like, that authenticity, it blows my mind, because when we start to expose ourselves, hey, you know what, like, there's nothing more beautiful than me just saying, hey, you know what, I'm a happiness teacher, but I don't feel happy, right? Out of 10, right? Because there we get to heal it together. We're in this together collectively, And just because I'm not happy out of 10 and I am teaching happiness, it doesn't mean my happiness hasn't left me. Because happiness is my inheritance. It is what I am. Within the second, as I'm speaking these words, no matter what challenges or tribulations I might be going through, or any of you might be going through, happiness is here. In the stillness. Between the words. You feel it? I feel it. It doesn't leave me, it's here. My safe place. My safe place, the place that I've never left, the mind of God. I'm here. I've arrived. And we can live in that space consistently if we are motivated and have the willingness to take responsibility and practice. And today I'll be going over that in my workshop. The fourth step to listening to your higher self and living your happy is practice. It's the willingness to want to practice daily, even if you don't want to. And I feel that that is one of the biggest keys here, because I went to Unity for a very, very long time, and I continue to go to Unity Church, but I've been going to Unity Church since 1995. I went to Unity Church of Miami, that's where I started. And I also studied a lot of books, Dr. Wayne Dyer or Norman Vincent Peale back in the day when I first started, Maria Shriver, and I was like a self-help junkie, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that, and doing workshops and doing all these things, because I was trying to search for myself. I was trying to understand, why am I not living this happiness that the Course in Miracles is talking about, or that these books are talking about? Like, what is the click here? And the revelation that I got was the missing piece of living it. That was it. It's like I'm reading all these books, and I have all this information, it's intellectual, and yes, I know that I am love, and I know that I am happiness, but it's here, it's not here. And what I'm sharing with you guys this morning is it's time to bring it from the intellect to the heart, and to embody it fully. From the tip of your hair, tip over here, if you have hair. If not, it's the tip of your head. And then all the way down to your toes, and you just embody it fully. And you start to walk your talk. And you start to live it without making any more compromises, without making more exceptions. And anytime you say but, you just put your finger in your mouth. Right? I want to change, but no, I want to change it. Cállate. We say it in Spanish, right? It's like, stop it, right? Because it's that compromise and that exception that is making us suffer. Does that make sense? So me not taking responsibility and still wanting to hang out in that and not being responsible, or still wanting to be a victim, is my compromise right now. But what's good is, like, I'm seeing it right in the face right now. And I've been watching it for the past week. I'm like, boom. Right? It's like, I'm almost there, and I will be released at some point, and I'm so ready. So thank you guys for joining me on this happy train as we heal together, and it's a beautiful quote that somebody actually quoted from the church, whoever does the social media here, and it said, when I heal, you heal, and when you heal, I heal, because we're all in this together, collectively healing and undoing the egoic thought system of fear. So I'm happy that we were able to kind of dismantle this story together, this experience together, because I feel like we can all relate in some way or another to big challenges in life and hurdles that we need to cross. And if they're not here now, they'll be here next week, So it's so beautiful to be able to have these tools. So I'm going to kind of do like a little summary here. So the first thing is that sense of responsibility, right? That big willingness to want to heal, to want to change. And then the next step, which I didn't mention, is the trust in God, and in co-creating with God thoughts of love. So it's that trust with spirit, that spirit's got your back, that you're not doing this alone. The process of dismantling and healing can't be done alone. You need a higher self, you need your true self, and sometimes you need to talk to somebody outside. That helps too. We need that support and help. So, and then the third step what we could do is that finally we can release. Right? So that's when the elimination process starts happening. So you take responsibility. The second step, you trust in your higher self, spirit. And then the third step, then you're ready to release it with spirit. You're ready to release these limiting thoughts. You're ready to release the value that you've given these limiting thoughts, these unhappy thoughts. You're ready to release them because you've gone through the transmutation process, the process of healing that. So then you start to release them, but you can't release them without taking that responsibility first. You can't release them while you're still in that victimization. You know, there has to be that responsibility aspect, so you release that. So what happens is that when you release, it's like you allow space in your mind for truth. Right? So it's like a garden, and you have these garden of flowers, right? And for there to be space for those flowers to bloom, there needs to be taken out some weeds. Because the weeds, they don't give space. So there's like all this clutter. So what we need to do is to start to, we release by letting go of those weeds in our minds, those limited thinking. You know, those thoughts that somebody told you when you were young you weren't good enough, and you still believe it to this day. Or the doctor has told you that there's something in your body that's not functioning correctly. You know, some cells in your body are not functioning correctly. You know, what you do is that you take out that weed and you bring in a beautiful, beautiful flower, and you remember, hey, wait a second, I am a divine child of God, and I have other perfect cells in my body that are working perfectly well, that are going to shine the light on this darkness. And I am healthy. I have vitality. I am healed. So it's that time to just, you kind of, it's like a bow and arrow, and I discussed this right at the end of my chapter of my book. It's like this bow and arrow of just going within, of just, you have that arrow, and your goal is peace. Your goal is the happiness. But you need to what? You need to bring the bow and arrow in, and sometimes what happens is that the bow is kind of pinching you a little bit, right? So it's a little uncomfortable. And that's the process of that transformation. It's like, oh my God, this hurts. You know, this is super uncomfortable. But then what you do is that with trust, as you pull in, you pull back with spirit, knowing that all is well, knowing that you are loved, knowing that everything is in divine order, knowing that everything is working for you. You pull back and knowing that every other cells of your body are working perfectly well. You pull back knowing that you can never truly be abandoned, that you're whole and one with God. You pull back knowing that you are sufficient. You pull back knowing that you are so amazing you can't take it. You pull back knowing all these things. You pull back into that vortex of love, pulling back, and you go ahead and you remember your truth, and then you release. So then you release and you let go. You release and let go all that no longer serves. And then you're like, okay, bye. Let's pray. So let's take a deep breath here. And I invite you to put your hand on your heart. And we're just so grateful and thankful this morning for the opportunity to join here at Unity of Grand Valley. What a beautiful sanctuary of love. And how we've all collectively just made this divine appointment together to heal. To heal our minds, to remember our truth, to remember our happiness, to remember that it's in our inheritance. And at this time we invite Spirit in, as whatever was said in this talk has in some way eliminated some of the darkness, some of the hurt, some of whatever anybody might be going through this morning. Well, we know that God is here, we know that we are guided and we're loved and provided for. We pray and know as we walk out of these doors later that we bring this happiness with us, and we walk out these doors taking responsibility, letting go more of the victimization, and with the recognition and living, forgiving even if we don't want to. And we step out knowing that we have everything and we lack nothing. Thank you, God, the time has come, and we're here, and we are ready. Amen. I love you guys. Thank you.